turn to our earlier conversation, because you did mention the National Action Network. And of course, when many of us hear National Action Network, we think of Reverend Al Sharpton, who is a national leader and continues to be so relevant and so on point and so needful in our community. But how important is it that there is local involvement when there are issues like this issue that you're dealing with, that in addition to the national personality who comes in, that there is local involvement as well?
Right. Well, you know, I work at the town of Hempstead, and they say in government that all politics are local. And with community work, all community work is local. And when you look at the work that Dr. King did, he went into the local communities and he got victories there. And if he could get a victory in Selma, then it would help to get another victory somewhere else in the South. And the same thing, if we can get a victory in Roosevelt, then we can get a victory in Amityville. We can get a victory in Huntington. We can get a victory in Freeport. We can get a victory in Hempstead. When I came home from college, I saw a flyer saying we're trying to build a new library. And when I was growing up as a child, I remember seeing a similar flyer saying we're trying to build a library. Our library was in a shack, and it moved into a trailer. And some friends encouraged me to run for the Roosevelt Public Library Board, and I ran. And we pushed to begin to build a new library in Roosevelt. We pushed to the point where the steel began to go up to build that library. The day that the steel went up, the treasurer died. The brick mason died. The general contractor went belly up. And the bonding company collapsed. But we had to stick together, because the word says without a vision the people perish. And for 4 years we pushed and showed people a vision of a library that was impossible to build. But by God's grace it was built, because we stuck with it when everybody said it could not be done. And basically what we did was we asked the architects, we asked the attorneys, we asked the lawyers, we asked people in the community who have been in the community for years on different boards, if it could be done, how would it be done? And people begin to give us answers. And the word talks about sound advice is the way of the wise. And we begin to get that sound advice and those words of wisdom. And over a 5-year period, got that library completed. So local politics is very important, because it was right across the street from the library where Dow Jackson was beat. But the community rallied together at that library, because they said if we don't have anything else, we have our churches and we have our libraries. We don't have a lot of businesses. Most of our businesses begin with B's, barbershops, beauty salons, you know, predominantly black churches. But God is doing something where he's bringing the races and the cultures together on a local level. And that is extremely, extremely important. Also on a local level, I have been very concerned because our governor has announced that he's supporting gay marriage.
All right.
You know, I've come out and have said that I'm so proud that we have an African American governor, the first time in the history of New York State. But Mr. Governor, I have to say that I cannot support you in this case in terms of men marrying men, women marrying women. We believe that that is a situation where God has ordained it in between a man and a woman, even before the Bible was written. When at the dawn of creation on the 6th day, you know, when God pulled the rib out of Adam and made it a woman, said this will be flesh of your flesh and bone of your bones. So whether we talk about same-sex union or whether we talk about marriage, it boils down to the same thing, that those are Judeo-Christian concepts. And when we take those Judeo-Christian concepts and bring them into the secular world and try to change the meaning, that's very troubling. And it's not a matter of discrimination, because we must love all people. When I was on that library board, the director of the library board that we chose was a gay man. And he happened to be the most qualified candidate.
I see.
And I voted for him, because I said I'm not going to discriminate against him. But that was in a matter of redefining what the scriptures had said. You know, so it's a fine line. And when you cross that fine line, it becomes a troubling thing. But I believe on the local level that we have to begin to look at all of these issues. And the book of Ephesians talk about speaking the truth in love, because you always hear the church talking in hate and talking about what they're against, but you never hear the church talking about what we're for. So we have to say that, we're for marriage in between a man and a woman. We're for loving all people. We're for standing up for what is right, before to bring healing in the land.
All righty. Yeah. This is Bishop Andy C. Luter along with Bishop Stephanie Riddle Green. You're listening to the Bishop's Roundtable. We're here at WGBB 1240 AM. Our guest tonight is Arthur L. Mackey, Jr. He is a pastor. He is an author, and he is a local personality. On yesterday, Pastor, MSNBC, CNN, even Fox News reported on a report released by the Homeland Security Commission that talked about the rise in radical groups who are using the fact that Barack Obama is the president, using the fact that there is such pluralism in government now to recruit even ex-veterans into the ranks of supremacist groups and neo-Nazi groups and skinhead groups. Now, this issue that you talked about with the noose, do you see these items related? Is this a current expression of what you were trying to tackle several months ago?
They're directly related. The rise in membership in the Ku Klux Klan, in the Aryan Nation, and in white supremacist groups and different hate groups are directly tied to the nooses that are popping up all around the land. And it just didn't stop with those incidents a few months ago. It even continues on. It happened there in Jena, Louisiana as well. And we have to take a bold stand against it, because there's some people who won't be happy until they see an African-American person hanging from a tree. Miss Trini Connie Todd, who her son drove us here tonight, and she's just right outside the studio here. She remembers when Dr. Martin Luther King was in the Birmingham jail. She was a little girl at 6 years old. She can remember when Dr. King wrote the letter from the Birmingham jail, and she was would come and march in some of the marches. She was there when the church was bombed in Alabama. She was supposed to be at Sunday school. She was just a few minutes late, or else she would have been one of the little girls who lost her life. But she remembers riding home with her parents and seeing women hanging from the trees, seeing men hang from the trees. So when you talk about nooses, there are people who are alive today that vividly remember. And there's people who are alive in Roosevelt and Freeport and Hempstead, surrounding communities, that remember when the Klan used to march. There used to be a sign when you came into Roosevelt saying, this is land owned by the Klan. There were trophies that the Klan had in Freeport that they had a big dispute over just about 4 or 5 years ago that still exist.
Okay.